Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing another Kindle Unlimited reading vlog. Are we shocked? Are we surprised? You shouldn't be, because I do these kind of often. I think I have about 1 or 2 of these planned each month for the rest of the year, so much to look forward to, hopefully. And also, I just have so many KU books that I'm adding to my TBR because I feel like especially right now, I'm seeing so many books on Instagram that are calling to me, and that is definitely the case for this vlog. I picked all of these books because they had pink in the cover, I'll be honest with you, but also a lot of these are books that I just cannot stop hearing about and or intrigued by. I don't know a ton about each of the books, but I did do a quick peruse so I could quickly tell you like what the synopsis or like vibe of each book is before we go into the vlog. But yeah, 3 KU books. Let's talk about which ones I'm gonna be reading. I think the first one is a high school new adult romance called A Million Kisses in Your Lifetime by Monica Murphy. This is the one that I think I'm like the most tentative about, simply because it is set in high school. I've heard that there is some like misogyny at play. Am I going to be bothered by it? Am I going to like be okay with the fact that this is probably like at least a little bit of bully romance? I mean, I don't want to say that it for sure will be, but what romance have I ever read that's set in high school isn't a little bit of bully romance, you know? Anyway, excited to read this one. Tentative, but excited. The other 2 I think are going to be slam dunks just because I've heard more about them and I feel like the synopsis and or like vibe of the books are just, they're more my speed. So Flawless by Elsie Silver is a book that I literally see everywhere. I feel like this one and another book that I'm not reading for this video, but I'm reading for another video, I've seen a lot about. I think it's a new release, and this one is about a bull rider who I want to say is like working for the heroine's dad, and the dad is like, you can't be with my daughter or something like that. Forced proximity, grumpy sunshine. I think it's like small town vibes. I mean, bull riding, it's a little bit yeehaw, and like I'm a little bit yeehaw, so like I'm kind of down for it. I didn't realize Nugget's ear was in the corner this whole time. And then the last one that I'm reading is the one I'm currently reading actually, and it is Waking Olivia by Elizabeth O'Rourke. How do you feel about that, Teddy? Is pleased with my selection. I'm 10% into this book and I'm already having a good time. So let's talk about it. Waking Olivia is a new adult sports romance and it is set in a college setting. Already liking it because our heroine went to the University of Texas for 2 years, my alma mater, and now she is at Eastern Colorado University. She had to transfer because she took a baseball bat to one of her teammates, hospitalized them, and almost killed them. She's kind of going through it. She is a cross-country runner and she still, I guess, wants to run. She still has like a passion for running, but at the start of the story she kind of has this like, I don't want to say bad attitude, but she's not in a good place. She's definitely not in a good place. She sleep runs as well, which is kind of hindering her performance on the team. And on top of that, this guy that is the coach of her new team, she didn't expect him to be the coach. She thought this kind of like, I don't say world renowned, but this like really illustrious head coach of the men's cross country team would like have something to do with hers. Sadly, that's not the case. There's just this random guy named Will who's super hot, super grumpy, who is the coach of her team, and he's giving her a really hard time. So not only is she kind of like suffering herself, she's obviously been through some stuff. We don't know why she hurt her teammate, but we're assuming it was probably justified. Does have childhood trauma on top of that, and she also, you know, she's doing the sleep running, she's got a bad coach, she's got a lot going on. Miss Olivia, who likes to go by Finn. I think it's Olivia Finnegan. She goes by Finn. She wants to be called Finn, but her coach calls her Olivia. I was wondering too, like, why this book was called Waking Olivia, and I feel like the cover of this book makes it seem like it's gonna be this, like a certain kind of romance. I don't know how to describe it, but it's giving like a Mia Sheridan book to me. Like, it's giving deeply emotional, not smutty romance, and I know that that's not gonna be the case for this one, so I feel like the cover was a little misleading, so was the title. And that's why I didn't initially pick it up when I heard about it the first time. But after reading A Deal with the Devil, I was like, I gotta pick this one up. And so far, I mean, I'm enjoying it. There's just something so different, I would say, tonally about Elizabeth O'Rourke's writing that I personally enjoy. It's something that I connect with, and I feel like if I were to write a romance, I'm hoping to do at some point, tonally I would like it to be like this. It's a little bit melancholy. All of her stories, I feel like, have a little bit of a melancholy tone to them. They're not like super bright and shiny rom-com, but there is definitely a humorous element to all of the dialogue between hero and heroine. Definitely dark humor, but it's humor that I can appreciate. From the beginning, you can tell that there's sexual tension between the characters. Never insta love, but definitely like a sexual tension and chemistry that builds throughout the story. This book's no exception, and I'm loving it, okay? I'm loving it. It's a good time. And I'm only like 10-15% in. I guess we'll see. I'm gonna withhold my judgment. Maybe this like turns out to be terrible. I really don't think it will be, but maybe something weird will happen. I'm gonna keep reading. I'll update you like the longer the book goes on. Curious to see kind of what happens with Olivia's sleep running and if that resolves itself. Maybe like sleeping by Will, her coach, at night will like make her not run. I don't know. I don't know. I want to know how that resolves itself. Okay, so I'm like 50% into Waking Olivia. I'm definitely finishing this book tonight and I am in love. Like, it is so compelling. It's such a page turner and the plot is surprisingly like very interesting. I don't really need a strong plot, and I definitely think that Elizabeth O'Rourke does character dynamics, character dialogue, and interaction so well that like if there were no plot to this book, I probably wouldn't give a shit. But the plot is so interesting. The fact that Olivia is sleep running, the fact that Will is having to be there for her and try to get her to stop doing this by basically like being with her before meets. It's what I want. It is the perfect tension-filled, angsty romance that I want. I also really like Olivia's character, which I think is interesting because I saw some Goodreads reviews that said they found Olivia to be irritating or too bitchy, and I'm like, her childhood, from what we know of it in flashback, which isn't much, seems pretty fucking traumatizing. She was abandoned by both of her parents. Her brother ran away at age 8. Like, she's been through some shit. No one cares for her. She's never gotten any sympathy from anyone, so I definitely understand why she acts the way that she does. If anything, I'm surprised that more characters in books don't act the way that she does. Seems like a lot of authors are willing to give characters trauma, but aren't willing to have characters that react appropriately because of that trauma. I mean, everybody reacts differently, so who am I to say the appropriate trauma response is? But I like this alternative, I guess, portrayal. I feel like I've never really seen a romance heroine like this. Maybe not never, but it has been a while. I feel like I only get characters like this in like YA books, interestingly enough. I like it. I love the slow burn. I love that even at 50% we have gotten literally no like touch from them. She just touched his chest for the first time. I guess technically he has slept by her side during one of these like episodes, which I don't think she really knows at this point. I'm just loving it, and I feel like I'm gonna be hard pressed to find an Elizabeth O'Rourke book that does not work for me going forward. I could continue to ramble on. I think I'm gonna go ahead and take a shower and then finish this book because I'm just so into it. Already I'm gonna tell you to go pick it up. Okay. I will say though, one thing before I go is that there is cheating in this book, so if that does bother you, okay. But I feel like whenever the person that's getting cheated on has no character development and plays literally no role in the story, like, who really gives a shit, right? I mean, controversial? Maybe. Do I care? Also no. But yes, hello, I am back and I have a new favorite romance of all time. I'm as surprised as you are. Absolutely adored Waking Olivia. It did at times make me teary-eyed, especially near the end there, and honestly I just feel like this was exquisitely crafted. I think I was maybe mentioning this, or maybe it was just in my head and I didn't actually mention it or like fully flesh out my feelings, but I feel like when I first started this I was definitely noticing how Elizabeth O'Rourke's writing has matured over time, and I definitely think that that is the case, but there's something so raw and real about the story that I just really appreciated. There definitely is a drama and a tension and an angst in the story that I wasn't necessarily expecting to come into play. The girlfriend thing kind of became more of a plot point than I really thought that it was going to be, which was unexpected, though I wouldn't say unwelcome. I was actually kind of like into having the girlfriend be sort of like, I don't want to say a bitch. I mean, she was a bitch, but I liked the part that she played in the story in creating tension and angst, keeping our lovers from being together, at least at some parts in the story. I don't know, I liked it. I also liked the plot twist at the end-ish of the book. Holy fuck, I did not see that coming. I probably should have, but like, wow, this made it not a thriller, but like, you know, there were definitely some thrilling plot points and moments near the end of the story. So, you know, I don't have much else to say about the story except for I absolutely adored it. I loved the characters. This is a new all-time favorite romance. I've since added it to my Amazon wish list, have a physical copy of. I'm not buying any books this year, so I just get to go and look at that wish list for the next 6 months and just, you know, count down the days, I guess, until I get to own a copy of it. If you are looking for a new adult sports romance with a justifiably bitchy main character, grumpy romance, there's no sunshine here, it's just all grump. If you're looking for grit and reality, extremely tension-filled steaminess, pick it up. Mic drop. I'm done talking about this book. It's amazing. Pick it up. Wish I could say that I have since started Flawless by Elsie Silver. I have not. That is the next book that I'm going to be picking up for this video though, and I am excited to get into it. I have just sadly been reading for their videos, and I say sadly because the other books I'm reading right now are not very good. But I have every faith that Flawless is going to knock it out of the park. I will update you once I'm like 20% in. Okay, so I am about 20% into, I was about to say Chestnut Springs, into Flawless, which is one of the books in, I believe, the Chestnut Springs series by Elsie Silver, and it's pretty cute. I'm enjoying it. I say cute. I don't think the cute's necessarily the right word for this book, but it is entertaining thus far. This book is about our two main characters, Rhett and Summer. Rhett is a professional bull rider, and at the start of the story, he is kind of getting into trouble. He is kind of in the later stages of his career, but he is still riding high and doing very well. He's like in his 30s, which is definitely old for like the bull riding scene, but he has a lot of sponsors. He's kind of infamous, and people who don't even follow bull riding kind of know who he is because he's super hot and kind of a womanizer. But at the start of the story, he is getting into trouble because he says that he doesn't like milk. Someone like overhears him saying this, gets him on camera saying it, and since he is sponsored by, I want to say like a milk company, they're unhappy and they pull their sponsorship, and a couple of his other sponsors are considering pulling their sponsorships. I think he also gets into a physical altercation with someone. I think he like punches someone, and yeah, things are not looking so great for Rhett right now. He's not like total loser at this point, you know what I mean? He's not like late stages of his career, like yikes, things are looking bad. He definitely needs to get himself back on track so that he can keep his sponsorships and save his family's farm. Now, his family farm is run by his father, who's still alive, and his, I want to say 2 or 3 other brothers. We are on the farm for the first kind of part of the book. Now, Summer comes in because after some of these altercations, after these issues that Red has been having, his manager Kip is like, hey, you need someone to look after you. You need a babysitter because you obviously can't handle your shit by yourself, even though you're a grown adult man. So he sends his daughter Summer, who is like a recent law school graduate and or new manager at that company, like a new like talent manager, I guess. She's going to be your babysitter, and she has to keep him in check, make sure he doesn't like bring home random women, make sure he doesn't get in fights, make sure he doesn't piss off any of his sponsors. And so Summer is going to be staying, I want to say, at the farm with the guys. She's met Red's dad, she has met some of the brothers. I think right now they are out at a bar. It's like their first night together all together. Yeah, I've enjoyed it so far. I like the interactions between Kip and his daughter, and also Kip and Rhett. Surprisingly, like the dad slash the manager of Rhett is actually one of the funnier characters in the story, and like one of the ones that I think is kind of interesting. I'm liking the interactions. I'm liking the sense of humor. The only thing that I'm like not totally sold on at this point is Rhett as a character. I don't think he is bad per se, but I feel like I've read this character a million times, and I think unless there's some sort of like emotional vulnerability or something, I don't know that the story is going to be something super standout for me. That's the thing. It's like if you're going to do familiar tropes and you're going to, you know, give me like a womanizing bad boy of a sport, like there's gonna have to be something else there. I'm hoping at the very least that like Summer is someone who really stands up for herself. I am sort of getting those vibes so far. There's also some hints that maybe she doesn't totally love her job, so I'm wondering if she's going to have some sort of self-discovery as the story carries on. But so far, like, I'm enjoying it. I'm tentatively excited for it. I think I will probably read some more of this tomorrow because I want to finish an Elizabeth O'Rourke book. I'm trying to finish A Devil in the Deep Blue Sea, so I'll finish that tonight and I will read Flawless tomorrow. He wants me to feed him, which I'm gonna do after I finish this clip. Also, I'm facing a different direction, so, you know, trying to give you that varied content, though it looks identical because this is just a white box. I finished Flawless, and it was cute. I think I would give this book like 3.5, 4 stars. I'm gonna put it as like 4 stars on Goodreads probably. I like how I talked about how I was hoping that like maybe the sex scenes wouldn't be cringe. I did at times kind of cringe a little bit. That's not to say that y'all will. I think a lot of the possessiveness and the spiciness will be something that a lot of people enjoy. For me, I just didn't totally love it. I think that's because I've just been in a slower burn mood lately. That's not to say that they hook up like immediately upon, you know, discovering their feelings for each other, but I did feel like just not totally invested, I guess, in the sexual relationship or in the relationship in general. That's kind of where I'm going with this. At the 50% mark, Red and Summer, you know, they tell each other how they feel about each other. They also kind of talk a little bit about their backgrounds and their childhoods, etc. So we do understand more about them and their motivations. But I feel like after that 50% mark, there wasn't a lot in the way of relationship development. I feel like I wanted more from their interactions. This story, I don't want to say it was like all spent in the characters' heads, but it did seem like there was a lot of internal thought going on, and maybe not as much dialogue as I personally would have preferred. It certainly wasn't bad. I mean, it was an enjoyable story. I think I'm just, you know, still kind of hung up on Waking Olivia. Like, it was such a good book, and this one, I don't want to say pales in comparison, because that feels like an unfair comparison, but I do feel like that one had so much nuance in the characters and in the way that they react to their trauma. This one felt very, like, typical, and it felt like all of the conclusions that were come to, I guess, came to conclusions that were the characters came to conclusions. They felt like very natural conclusions. Like Rhett makes a decision about his career and Summer makes a decision about her career and her past, and it all felt very formulaic. And again, sometimes you're not looking for something that is going to be out there and super nuanced and maybe be unlikable at parts, you know what I mean? But I was feeling lack there. That's making it sound like I didn't enjoy this book. I did have a good time with it. It was a really like quick, enjoyable read, and I do want to read more of the books in the series. I'm hoping that maybe some of the other heroes will be more my speed. I think that's probably another thing too that like didn't make this, you know, a 5-star read for me, was that Rhett, like while he was a fine hero and I did appreciate the way that he was possessive in some ways of our heroine, his immaturity I think was something that I just didn't totally love. And I think the next book is about a single father, Rhett's older brother Cade, and that is something that I think I'd really fuck with. He definitely has more of a stern persona. It seemed like any of the more stern characters in this book, I could just tell that I feel like our author probably excels in that avenue. Like sometimes you can just tell when authors like have a thing and they're like really good at that thing, and I just feel like Elsie Silver is probably pretty good at doing a grumpy hero. I guess Rhett at points in the story is grumpy, but that's not really his like vibe. I really feel like Cade is going to be the hero that I really connect with. So I'm excited to read that one when it comes out, and I definitely will be reading that one and possibly picking up more of Elsie Silver's backlist, because it was a good book. Maybe not like the earth-shaking, world-shattering thing that I wanted it to be, but like I say that. Did I want it to be that? Or did I just want it to be enjoyable? I digress. I have since started, I keep wanting to say A Million Boy Kisses because I keep getting it confused with 1,000 Boy Kisses, but A Million Kisses in Your Lifetime by Monica Murphy. Now, I've never read any books by Monica Murphy before. I did realize that I actually have Rate a Date on my shelves, and I'll be listening to the audiobook of that probably sometime this month too. So if this one goes terribly, I will have another book by her that I don't think is new adult that I can kind of like compare to and see, you know, if her stories are for me. But this one is about our main character. I cannot remember the name of, I'll be honest. I'll bring that information next time we talk. Our heroine is described as virginal. So she's like the new girl at school freshman year, I think. And she is beautiful and kind and interesting and a virgin and like, I don't know, has like committed herself to virginity and has like a promise ring. I don't know. It's like one of those weird, I committed myself and like I promised my dad I wouldn't fuck anyone. Weirdness. She is very popular and everybody really likes her. And our hero doesn't really buy it. Like he does, but he doesn't. He's like, you know, she's such a light in the school. Everybody likes her, but why is she still a virgin? I want to be the one to de-virginize her, which is weird enough in and of itself. But then we also have the addition of the creepy teacher. At the very beginning of the story, we have our heroine going to class and she sees one of her best friends like hanging all over the teacher. And she's like, this is fucking weird. Her friend goes away. And then after the class is over, he calls her up, calls our main character up to his desk and is like, hey, I know you're gonna be my TA next semester. And he gets like all up in her face and stuff, and it's just a creepy encounter. Yeah, the writing is weird. There's definitely rampant misogyny, so I can't really fight back on that claim. Like the top Goodreads review in my like friends Goodreads reviews say that they DNF this book, give it 1 star because misogyny was rampant. I don't disagree. I'm willing to overlook it kind of because this is kind of like a silly new adult romance, and that's kind of par for the course, and I'm just used to it, and it doesn't like, I'm not saying it doesn't bother me, but when you're at the head of a teenage boy, like I feel like it's not really that outlandish. I don't know what to think about this story, to be completely honest with you. Our heroine is very much a goody two-shoes in her internal dialogue. When she's thinking about her friend embracing with this teacher, she like is talking about how, you know, she really shouldn't give away her charms and you need to make smart decisions about who you're gonna take this next step with and stuff. It feels very preachy, and I just don't know where the story is gonna go. I think it's gonna be like the hero is gonna try to get with the heroine because he wants to like take her virginity, and he also thinks like she's not really who she says she is. I don't know y'all. This is something. I'm gonna withhold judgment though. This could surprise me, maybe. I don't know. I mean, Dear Ava, one of my favorite new adult romances, starts kind of weird and it turns out to be a favorite, so maybe this one will go in that direction. I'm not holding out that much hope, but I am withholding judgment, so I'm gonna go ahead and keep reading this book. I'm only like 5 or 6% in, so you know, not that far, but I kind of get the gist of the book so far. Also, the hero is like his family owns the boarding school, prep school that they all go to. So like he's head honcho, whatever. I'm so tired. I'm gonna get 50% into this book though, and I will come back to you bright and early tomorrow morning, and then we can finish off the book after that. Okay, so sadly, I'm actually going to be DNFing A Million Kisses in Your Lifetime. I feel like I was trying so hard in the last clip to like overlook some of the issues in this book. It just didn't get better. I want to say like 15, 20-ish% in, and the weirdness just never abated. It just never let up. It never quit. The The creepy teacher that I talked about a little bit, he definitely is very much a player in the story, and I really don't appreciate that. I understand that that's something that likely happens in real life, but the way that it's handled in this book felt gross and egregious, and it's like, if this is a known problem in the school, how come no one is reporting this man? Ew. And then we also have our hero, his name is Crew, and her name is Ren. Crew is just relentless in his, I don't want to say pursuit of Ren, but his idea that like she needs to be taken down a peg and like I'm gonna be the one to sexually please her and like she's gonna give it up for me kind of thing. I understand teenage boys are gross. Operative words sometimes. Don't really want to read about it, and it's the way that he is consistently talking about her. On one page, I counted 3 or 4 times of him using the word virgin to describe this girl. And I understand, like, that's what he's after, whatever, but calling her Little Miss Virgin, and she's so virginal in her little socks and her little skirt, and she has a bow in her hair like a little girl. I was feeling deeply uncomfortable. Let's just say that. I was feeling deeply uncomfortable, which is not how I want to be feeling when I'm reading a romance. And again, I'm able to overlook certain things. I understand like misogyny and like, you know, boys just being boys in some of these romances. Like it does become something that the character grows from and like they become a decent person and like, you know, I'm here for that. But this, I couldn't do it. And it's weird because I mean, the reviews are very mixed for the story on Goodreads from what I can tell, but some people that like I wouldn't expect gave this book 5 stars and just said like, oh, it was kind of silly, but I enjoyed it. I don't know, maybe at this particular juncture, I'm just unable to overlook certain things, but yeah, I couldn't overlook things, and this was not a story that I found myself immersed in. So sadly, that makes this vlog a little shorter than I had intended, but I just feel like I'm at the point in my life, and especially in my reading journey right now, where I don't want to continue on with books that I just absolutely know are not going to be for me. Who knows, maybe there are some like redemptive moments here. Maybe this book is actually fantastic. Kind of don't think that that's going to be the case, so I'm not going to continue on with it, but yeah, I don't have time for it. That being said, all things considered, I feel like this was a very successful KU reading vlog. I had 2 books that I really liked and enjoyed. One book that just wasn't for me, it didn't work out. But the other 2, I just feel like having a 5-star and a 4-star romance in the same video, I'm willing to overlook any, you know, hatred I had or extreme dislike I had for this last book. So I would say if you're looking for a really good small town romance, pick up Flawless. If you're looking for like new all-time favorite romance material and you like a grumpy romance, like it's just so good, pick up Waking Olivia, okay? That's what you need to take away from this video. Pick up Waking Olivia. So that is it for me. I have another one of these KU vlogs coming in a couple of weeks. I think for that one I'm going to be reading some dark romances, so a little bit different than we've been doing for the past, I would say couple of weeks. I don't do these every week, but you know, the past couple of videos have been just like regular contemporaries, but I want to try something a little different. Let's get into dark romance again. So that'll be coming, I think, like the last week of July. But thank you so much for watching this. I love you so much, and until next time.